Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make this super awesome wooden Betsy Ross flag. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is cut 13 pieces of this 1x2 at 37 inches. Alright, now that we got all those cut, I'm going to take 4 of my scraps and I'm going to cut them at 18 inches. And these will be used for the backer pieces to nail it and glue it together. And then I'm going to take one more scrap and I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 4.5 inches. And those I will be using to secure the hangers to the back of the flag. Alright, so now we got 13 of these at 37 inches. We got 2 at 4.5 inches and we got 4 at 18 inches. And now I'm just going to take some 220 grit sandpaper and I'm just going to sand over the faces of these ones just to give them all a nice even finish, and then we'll be ready to burn them. Alright, so to torch them, I just use this Burns-O-Matic propane torch. And this is just how I burn them. You can burn them however you want to, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. So I just turn my torch on all the way, and I'll just go nice and slow, and I think that'll give it a really nice, good burn. Alright, so something kind of like that. And you just want to try not pause anywhere, otherwise it will make a really dark spot. But I think I learned that if you do it, if you go quicker over it, then it will make it more of like a brownish burn. But if you do it slowly and just let it burn it, then it will give it like this darker look. But like I said, it's totally up to you. And now I'm just gonna go through and burn the rest of these, and then we'll be ready to stain. Alright, now that we got them all torched, the next thing that we're going to do is stain them. So for the blue stain, I'll be using some Varathane water-based wood stain, and it's tinted in navy blue. And then for the red, I'll be using this Minwax water-based wood stain, and it is tinted in scarlet. And that will be for the red. And to stain, I'll just be using a rag, but you can use a stain brush or a foam brush or whatever you prefer. And I'll be doing 2 coats of each color. And let me just show you real quickly how I do the union to get a really nice clean line for that. So what you want to do is measure 14 3/4 inches over from the left, and then you just want to make a tiny little mark, just barely so that you can see it. And then what you're going to do is take a utility blade and then a speed square and a hammer, and then you just want to hold your speed square right on that mark. Just like that, and then take your blade and just line it up with the speed square, and then just tap it in with the hammer. And then you just want it so that it goes in just enough to where it won't let any stain pass through or whatever, pretty much just so that it's has gone through the surface, and then that will allow you to stain right up to that edge and get a really nice clean line. So we'll be doing that for the top 7 stripes, and then once we get everything 2 coated, then we'll be ready to go ahead and put it all together. One more thing that I forgot to mention when you're staining these, just go ahead and stain that inside edge a little bit, and then in case the boards all don't line up perfectly flush, then it won't be, there won't be any white showing up where there should be like a red stripe or in the union also. And then I just leave the bottom and the top one clean, and then I like to just sand it and then burn it all the way around at the end just to give it a consistent look. but just on all these inside edges, you can just go ahead and add that little bit of stain. All right, so now that we've given them some time to dry, let me just quickly show you how these razor blades work. So if you just pull them off, there you can see you just have a really nice clean line. And I think that's the best way to do the union. You could try tape it, but I've tried that before and it's bleeded, so I think that's the best way to do it. And now we're just gonna bring them all up onto the table so that we can get them all glued and nailed together. All right, so once we got it up on the table, the first thing that we can do is just flip it all over so that it will be just completely flipped over onto its face. And then we can take a tape measure, and then measuring from the top and the bottom and from each side, you just want to measure 1 inch and 14 inches. And then these will be our guide marks for our backer pieces. And then once we got those marked out, we can just go ahead and stand all these up on their edge just like this. And then I'm just gonna run a bead of glue right down on this, on the back of this edge, just so that when we clamp it all together, it doesn't wanna spit it out the front, it'll just spit it out the back. And then I'm gonna go through and just run my finger on it just to spread it out. And then now we can just go ahead and lay them all back down. And then just try and get them all lined up on either side. And then you can just use one of your backer pieces to make sure that they're all fairly straight. And then what I like to do is I just put one piece right here, and then I just hold on to it or push down on it just to make sure that they don't move around. And then I got these 20-inch bar clamps, and I'll put one just a little ways in from the edge, just because when I try and clamp it on one side, it just like tries to pull them all in and it kind of messes with it. So if you put one in right in the middle or more closer to the middle, then that will kind of help to keep that from happening. So we just want to get it, and again, make sure that these are all straight still. And they're looking pretty good, so I'm just going to push down on that while I get this one just a little bit tight, just so that it keeps that in place. And then I'm going to take my second one, and then I'm going to put this one right on this edge. I think these are actually 24-inch bar clamps, by the way. And then, so I'm just gonna push down on this just to keep them from buckling, because I've had them buckle, you know, if I'm not pushing down in the middle, I've had them all buckle up in the middle. So just gonna keep a little pressure on that and get this clamp nice and tight. All right, and then once we got that good and tight, I don't know if it's exactly necessary, but I just like to do it. I just add one more quick bead of glue right on the back, right where these are gonna go, and then a piece on the back of this, just to give it a little extra support. It only takes like 10 seconds, so I like to do it just because, I guess. And then just want to line it up with your two marks that you made an inch in from the side, and then try and push down on it just to make sure they're all flush. And then I just got an 18 gauge brad nailer with some 1¼ inch nails, and I'm just gonna tack 2 nails per stripe. And then once I got that one tacked on there, I can take this clamp off, and I can move it closer into the second one, and then we can just kind of work our way down and then work our way to that side. And you'll be going on the inside of each of the marks, so everything will be towards the middle. All right, and then last we can just take our two 4.5 inch pieces, and then we're just gonna line them up with the second to the top stripe, and then just butt them up against each corner. And then, like I said, those will be used for the hangers that I will be attaching to them. All right, now that we got it all glued and nailed, we can just flip it back over. And then you just want to quickly make sure that no glue made it out. So like right here, there's a little bit. So I'll just take like a blade or something and just go through and just get that off of there just before it sets up all the way. Usually it will just come off really easy. And then the next thing that we can do is go ahead and move on to the union. All right, so for the union, I'll just be using this stencil right here. I can go ahead and link this down below if you want to order one. And in the one that I bought, it also came with a mini one. So if you wanted to make a mini one, you could just watch my video on how to make a mini American flag and just, you know, swap this stencil out with the other stencil in that video, and then you'd have a mini Betsy Ross flag. So I can go ahead and link that video down below also. But what we're gonna do is just take this, and then we're just gonna line it up on the left and right side, and then we'll just have to kind of center it between this gap. I know it's really tight. I don't know why. I get 1x2s for my boards, so they're supposed to be 1.5 inches. I don't know if they shrink a little bit when I burn them or what, but for some reason they're not quite 1.5 inches. So the stencil is a little bit big for it, but I think it will still look fine when it's all done. So we're just gonna tape it on this left side, and then maybe tack some pieces on the white stripes in here just so that the red stain doesn't peel off. And then we just wanna go through and just trace it all out with a pencil, and then we'll be ready to carve it. All right, so as you can see, I just taped it on either side, and then I just threw some pieces down here just to hold it in place. So now we can go ahead and pull this off. And now you should have a nice little outline. Might be a little hard to see it, but. So now we're ready to carve it out. And to carve it out, I'll be using my Dremel 3000, and then I have a flex shaft attached to it with a dust blower on the end. You don't need the dust blower, but it just helps to keep your surface area nice and clean, and helps to blow all the little shavings out of the way. And then for the stars, I'll be using the 105 tip right here to outline them, and then I'll be using the 106 tip right here to do the middles. And the reason for that is the 105 is just a little bit smaller, so it helps to get a little bit cleaner edges. And I can show them to you real quick. All right, so the 105 tip is the one that's on the tool, and then this one I'm holding is the 106. I used to do them with just the 106, so I'm sure if you just used a 106, they turn out just fine also. I can go ahead and link this kit down below if you want to order it. It's got all like the carving and the sanding, grinding tips that I've used on my wood flags, so it's a nice kit to have. But let me just quickly show you how it looks. And now I'm going to quickly switch over to my 106 bit. All right, and then that is what it looks like. And for the 1776, the 106 bit should be small enough to get in there and carve all that out. So now I'm just gonna go through and carve out the stars and get that carved out. And then we'll be ready to add a couple finishing touches and seal it up. All right, so now that we're done with the carving, I'm just gonna go ahead and just lightly torch over this just to give it just a little bit of a darker look. And then I'm going to sand all the edges and then I'll just burn them so that they match this burn right here. And then we will be ready to throw some hangers on it and then we can seal it up. All right, so as you can see, I went around and just burned all these edges, sanded and burned them, and then I just lightly torched over the stars just to give them a little bit of a darker look so they're not so white. But if you like the white look, you can just keep them white. And now we're just gonna quickly flip it over. And then for the hangers, I'll just be using these little sawtooth hangers. I think they're like 2.5 inches if you wanna pick some up. I think they have them at like Walmart, or if you order them online, you have to get like 100 pack, but if you're gonna use them, then it's worth it. So they're about 2.5 inches. And what I do for these is just measure down from the top of this 7/8, and then I'll measure it on both sides, just like that. So once I got those marks, then I'll just connect the lines, and then I'll make a mark at 2.5 inches, and then I'll just put this right at the bottom of those marks, and then I'll just line it up with the bottom of that on either side. And then that should make it pretty level once you hang it on the wall. All right, so that is what those look like when they are on. And next up, we're just gonna seal it. So I just got some of this Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel, and I'll do 3 light even coats over the whole thing, and then that should give it some nice protection. And that is what it looks like all finished up. Please let me know if you guys have any questions down below, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your projects.